Hello there, Star Wars toy fans. This is Jim, and thanks again for taking the time to stop by my channel. I really appreciate all the new subscribers coming on board, as well as you vintage ones who have stuck with me through all these crazy videos that I post. And if you haven't already figured out, the focus of this video is a comparison between the 1983 Kenner Ewok Village, which I did a video on earlier this week, and that of the 1991 Kenner Sherwood Forest from the movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, also from the same year. Now, Kenner, if you guys know the history of their Star Wars toys, did a lot of borrowing, sometimes not for the better, from their previous play sets. So, meaning that the Land of the Jawas then became the Ice Planet Hoth, which became the Rebel Command Center. And that was really a pretty lame play set, if you ask in my opinion. Or, for instance, the Droid Factory, which then became Jabba's Dungeon. They also had another type of release from the Cantina for the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid movie, in which they had like a Western outlaw bar. So anyway, saloon. That's what's the word that wasn't coming to mind. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look and compare these two playsets. So for starters, when we look at the Ewok Village, you'll look at it and it looks pretty much the same, except probably for the greenery around the tops of the trees. However, there is not a single piece that is exactly the same as the Ewok Village. So like if you were trying to replace parts and you wanted exact parts, no can do. Even the base, which looks to be a similar color, happens to have a 1991 copyright stamp on it. Well, let's take a closer look and compare things here. So we'll look at the trees, and you'll see that the trees have a cream-colored thatch area at the very top, and then we have like the brown trees there. And then, of course, the base is more of a brownish type of color, a brownish tint to it. We come over here when we look at the base, and it's about the same color. However, with the trees, we now have gray paint instead of that cream color. Now looking down upon the base, the peg holes are exactly the same as Ewok Village, but we have a gray spit, which is different than the brown one here. And we also have the fire pit, which looks to be the same color, but this happens to be a little bit lighter gray. So again, not exactly the same thing. Now looking at this side here, you'll notice that the railing here, which has 4 posts, is gray. And this one, of course, is brown. And this one happens to have a crossbow. And it's not spring-loaded or anything. You just simply press that and it just falls. And so you look inside, and that's all it is. This is what the crossbow looks like. Here's the one side, and there's the other. And you just slide that in, and then you can shoot it out. That's kind of a neat feature with this, I believe. Now the other difference too is, and I'm not going to pull these out because they have a little prong there that makes them stick into the base. You'll see there's a little divided line right there. So I can't exactly pull them out without pinching that prong together. You know, it's like these two ends and having to pinch those together. Whereas with the Ewok Village, it's entirely different. So it's got just straight pins that go in. Both of these happen to have a working elevator, and this is exactly the same. It's got the 2 pegs there. You can see Chief Chirpa standing on the pegs, and then you simply bring them down here. And there we go. It drops all the way down. Looking at side number 2, you're going to see here at the Ewok Village, we have a 3-post railing and a boulder. And we have the same thing on this side. The boulder is a lighter color. Compare the dark gray to the light gray. The string here is a different thickness and different color black. This one is much thinner. Now, whether this is original or not, I don't know. And then, of course, we happen to have a crossbow attached there. Now, here's a side view, or front view of the tree, and you can see this one has a hole that goes all the way through, passageway, as does this one. Now we get to the side with the 5-post railing. For the Ewok Village, you'll see we have the T-cap, and that's what happens to pull up the net. And then we come over here, we have the 5-post railing. Again, that's green, or gray, I mean. And then we have the T-cap, which is also gray, and it wedges into that little pin that comes up, that split pin. And then it also happens to have a net. Now, perhaps I stand corrected. The net here looks kind of like a reddish brown, and maybe the nets could be substituted. This one, looking closer up, has a much more gold feel, gold look to it, a little bit heavier braid, but I guess that could be just semantics. And then looking at this tree here, just like the Ewok village, this one has that chute that launches from the other side. So you can see that hole there, and then the guy just shoots down. And of course, the tree supports here, these happen to be gray, and those happen to be brown. Now, probably the most notable feature about the whole thing is the greenery on the top. And I really wish that Kenner had done some of that with the Ewok village. This is really the icing on the cake, if you will. And there's basically 4 pieces of this. So we have this, which is a press fit, which if you wanted to, you could apply to this tree right here if you wanted. This one, however, as well as the other one, see that hole there? So you're not exactly going to make that work, as there's no hole here on the elevator. And there also is a little peg, so that way it just fits right in. This happens to be a 2-piece affair. So you have your hole there, and there's nothing there. And then this just wedges in, and then you can use that as an outpost. So we can put Robin Hood right in there. I guess the final thing that I failed to mention when looking at the top view, you'll notice that here we have the Ewok drum, and gone is the drum. So you'll notice that there is a hole here, as well as a little area where they had to sculpt around it, and they did a pretty good job of filling that area in. So this happens to be the Sherwood Forest playset, and that pretty much summarizes my review. If I forgot something, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this video, you found it informative, and we'll see you on another future video.